You know that it's fun to go out, except I never leave my house. I'm either at work or home, and it seems kind of pathetic just drinking alone. So if you got nothing going on, have some drinks with Ron.
Hello and welcome to Drinks with Ron. I'm Ron, about to have a well-deserved drink. Yet another new Glarus from my variety sixer, the Moon Man No Coast Pale Ale. I'm hit and miss with ales, as I am with, I said previously, with wheat beers. I do like a majority. Some I absolutely can't stand. Pale ales, I'm even more iffy with. So, it's a No Coast Pale Ale, so clearly not in the vein of a West Coast IPA. And obviously not a normal IPA, which the term West Coast IPA was invented to differentiate from. It's kind of a Midwest, no coast pale ale. So, oh, it's not an IPA, excuse me, just pale ale. So, got my pub glass and my drinking fedora. So I was wearing my working fedora earlier. I do have one of those. As you can see, a little bit of yard work, cedar mulch. I'm covered in the shit. I'm not even going to get into it. Not even going to go there. But what I am going to do is drink this hopefully delicious new Glarus product and tell a story about one of my good friends, Big Beardy Jim. In my wedding party, you know, stood up with the crew, of course, there for the bachelor party, and a little bitter. You can really taste the hops, so the hop flavor is there, but it's not overpoweringly bitter. It's actually a fairly easy drinking pale ale. Is it less bitter than Sierra Nevada or something of the like? A little bit hazy. Hey, as far as pale ales go, I'll put this near the top of my list. So yeah, we had all the guys together for the bachelor party bus, and of course we all start swapping stories, and PJ's telling stories, and after about 10 minutes we come to realize that every story PJ has about me is me throwing up. I've told the Reggie Roby throw up story. There's a couple other, apparently I'd forgotten one where I went pale white green and actually threw up behind the counter at work back in high school making a guy's food. So forgotten all about that. So Parker's like, yeah, every one of my stories about you is throwing up. And Jim says, God, every one of your stories about me is I'm pissing. So, before I get into the Jim stories, let's give you a quick rundown of how I met Jim. Was hanging out at a party. There's this place, 417 10th Street, total dump. A bunch of guys I knew lived there one year. Well, the next year they moved out and a whole different crew of guys moved in. Well, they happened to meet each other. And so, for the second year straight, we went to that same house for parties. I barely knowing these guys, you know, had my DJ heart on, had to take over doing the music. So that's kind of how I got known by some people. But there's this big beardy dude that always walked around with a Cubs hat on, and I just kept thinking, that's a cool guy. I know cool guys when I see him, and that's a cool guy. So, you know, drank with him, cheers here and there, you know, comment on the Cubs hat, a few high fives. And then to come to realize that he actually worked with my roommate and my best friend, Zach. So I saw Jim at a party one night after we had known each other a little bit. Said, hey, it turns out you work with my roommate. So then they got to know each other. You know, they talked through work and they were cool and casual. But after that, and then it was like Jim's hanging out at the house now. It's like now we're all cool. But before we got to that point, I was working my pizza delivery job, trying to get done so I could get to the party at said house. And as I'm taking my last delivery of the night, about 8:45, something like that, I hear on 95.7 The Rock that Jim Varney, the actor who played Ernest P. Worrell in all of our beloved Ernest movies and TV shows as a kid, had died that day. And I loved Ernest. I loved the movies. I loved the show. I loved everything about the guy. Part of my childhood. And I was like, oh man, I gotta do some drinking. Not that I wasn't going to anyway. But I got back to the store before 9. I must have found somebody to get me a carryout because I think I was only 19 or 20 at the time. So I got somebody that I worked with to get to the liquor store before 9 and get me a carryout. I was like, give me a bottle, something small that I can drink straight out of. You know, nothing, not fucking vodka or anything, something I can drink. So I think they wound up getting me a bottle of blackberry brandy. And I went around to everybody at the party that I had deemed cool, in my estimation, and went up to him, hey, solemn day. Ernest P. Worrell died. Take a drink. And you know, oh, Ernest, oh, are you serious? And, you know, before the end of the night, we plowed through that bottle of blackberry brandy. And so that's when, you know, we knew that all the guys that drank that night, I knew I was cool with from that point on. It's like, you're cool with Ernest, you're cool with me, let's drink. But so we hung out with Jim a lot. And the next year after that, we moved, my buddy Zach and I moved to a house right on Main Street. And ironically enough, Jim also lived on Main Street, but just about 9 or 10 blocks up, so it was a good haul. We were only 6 blocks from the whole row of bars downtown, and I said probably just turned 21 by this point. And I used to have these car seats from my Ford Escort, because I'm a fucking pimp. And when the Escort got smashed in a collision by some drunk kid who blew through a stop sign at 70 miles an hour and T-boned us without so much as tapping his fucking brakes, well, Captain Nostalgia here pulled the fucking seats out. So I took the seats up and we had them on the front porch of our house. As I said, car seats, you know, the legs on them are this tall. You want to talk lowrider, you're sitting on the ground. You know, anybody who's not in their 20s probably ain't getting up out of that chair without some help. So we're sitting on the porch doing what we like to do on our Saturday nights, beers and such. And as we're sitting there drinking beers, we look and we see, you know, you always see people walking by. No big deal, you know, we got screens on the porch, lights are off, we can see them, they can't see us. So we're just kind of people watching while we drink and get trashed. We see this dude come stumbling up the sidewalk, hitting my buddy going, get a load of this fucking guy. So he's stumbling and he's stumbling all over, and finally he starts stumbling up towards the house. Wait, is that Jim? It is Jim. So he stumbles right up to our house, right up to our front porch, with his back to Main Street, starts pissing. So there's Jim standing right there. And like I said, the way the porch set up higher, the cutoff was right here. So you just see Jim's face, plain as day, just down like this, just pissing away. And I said, we're not 3 feet from him, from me to the camera. And I said, the lights are off, he can't see us, but we can see him as clear as day. I said, hey Jim. Oh, hey. You know, just like didn't startle him a bit. Just, hey. What you doing, Jim? Take a piss. Yeah, I see that, Jim. You want a beer? Oh, okay. So then Jim sat down and had some more beers with us because he clearly was drunk enough to stumble. So we had to make sure that he was in worse shape. So that was a great one. I said classic, just come right up to us. But the Jim story that got me, it was another year and a half or 2 years after that, we were in our next apartment. And it was like a Sunday morning at like 9, 10 o'clock, and I get a call from a buddy of mine. So, what the hell happened to Jim last night? What are you talking about? You know, I was home. I might have went down to Chubb's. You know, haven't heard nothing, talked to nobody. And I said, this is the day before everyone had cell phones. I didn't even have a cell phone yet. So my buddy proceeds to tell me, while I'm sitting downtown at the library, is a bar with a giant picture window on the side. And he's like, yeah, we're sitting up at the tables in the big picture window, and across the street is the Poons, 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 Poons bar. And so, you know, we're just kind of watching the meat market across the street, and we see Jim come stumbling around the corner. And from the top 40 titties and glitter bar, then there's like kind of an older fogey bar, and in between there's just like a recessed doorway that goes up to some apartment that apparently no one's ever lived in. I don't know, but a small recessed doorway. He says, yeah, so I see Jim stumble up, and he stops, turns into the doorway, and starts pissing. Right downtown, 3rd Street in La Crosse. And 3rd Street, if you don't know anything about La Crosse, probably, not exaggerating, 20 to 40 bars, all right in a row. You know, down one side of the street, back up. So just bars, people, police officers. So Jim gets done pissing, shakes off, zips up, turns around, takes one step, and there's a cop right there. So my buddy says Jim walks right into the cop, and you obviously can't hear what they're saying, but you see the cop say something to Jim, and you just see Jim go. Then you see the cop point down to the river of piss that's going down the sidewalk, and you just see Jim go. Like, all right, you got me. And proceeds to write him the ticket. Jim's, okay, thanks, you know. It's a $200 leak, but, oh, yes, sir. The times with Big Jim. But probably the topper. And as I say, this story's going to sound worse than it is. But Jim, his wife had later moved down. They weren't married yet. But his wife had moved down, and they were in an apartment. And it's this whole apartment complex that's just spread out. It's just this sprawling, you know, they're over here, they're over there, they're just fucking everywhere. And they're all identical. So drunk Jim, after a night of watching Monday Night Raw and probably Monday Night Football at our house, getting drunk beyond belief, Jim goes home, and there was, in these apartments, that you go to the hallway, you know, and there's the door to your apartment. But on the outside, there was just like a sliding door. So, you know, your apartment, you could just go in, open the sliding door, and go right in your living room. Which Jim did. Unfortunately, it wasn't his living room. Guys say, honest mistake, these things were identical, and it was dark. It was just funny that, you know, Jim has to come back and admit that, he tells us, you know, it's like, we would have never known. His wife might have ratted him out, I don't know, but just classic, you know, that was our crew. Yeah, big beardy Jim on Monday nights. The stories of the drinking days. But, speaking of drinking, the new Glarus Moon Man No Coast Pale Ale is a winner in my book. Definitely enjoyable, as I say. Definitely taste the hops. Hoppy, not overpowering, not intensely bitter, not hard to drink. I think you might even be able to put a couple of these down in some warmer weather, which is contrary to my normal position on pale ales. But for another local Wisconsin product, I'm Ron, in my drinking hat, signing off.